Hi everybody, welcome back to my channel if you've been here before. If not, I'm Buli, welcome. And as you can see, we have another episode of Wife Talks, and I have a beautiful guest with me today. Her name is Melody Xaba. She's going to introduce herself right now. Yeah, you can introduce yourself.
Okay, cool. Well, I'm Melody Xaba, and I am a wife. That's
more, you know.
Okay, so I'm a wife and I'm an entrepreneur.
Yeah.
Just recently came into entrepreneurship. I'm gonna say recently because it's been a year. It's been going great. I've had many lessons that I've had to learn, and for me the biggest one has been obedience. You know, anything that I've had and any great thing that has happened for me in this past year has just purely been because of obedience. Yeah.
So entrepreneur, wife,
mom of two beautiful children, and Tani 7 years old, my son. My firstborn, and then my daughter who's 5 years old.
And award winner, just in case you want to throw it in there. You know, award winner. And what I learned about her is that she's actually such a powerhouse. You might hear entrepreneur, but she actually, like your favorite shows that you love to watch on TV, she was the brains behind that. And I think it's so amazing that I get to meet powerful women. For example, OPW, I mean really now.
I came to fame.
I mean, no, I don't think so, because you've been working, but the shows that you told me that you've worked on are great, and I think maybe the greatness is the fact that this brand of OPW that has spread to many countries,
yes,
you were the brains behind because of her wedding and her wedding, the experience with her wedding. So I think that's incredible. So I'm so grateful to God that I know I meet such incredible people that can bring wisdom but are also inspiring. So that's Melody, that's who we have today, just in case you wanted to know, how credible she is. She's absolutely incredible. And yeah, so today, as you can tell by the title, we are talking about roles and responsibilities. I think this is such an interesting topic because it's one of the things you're first introduced to. Mama to Makoti. I mean, even in that so already from the minute you say I do, already there are roles and responsibilities that are staring you dead in your face. And sometimes I can understand why maybe we are taught certain things, but roles and responsibilities, especially if just left to imagination and left to expectations, can really cripple a relationship, can really cripple your marriage, can cause strain, especially if left unchecked. So we are going to be discussing roles and responsibilities, because really when people feel like they are burdened, and when women and when wives feel like they are burdened too much and feel like it's unfair, I believe that is because we haven't discussed a lot of things even in the dating process.
And that's where these things need to be established.
That's what we're here to tell you, that dating is not for strawberries and cream.
Exactly.
You can have that, but let's get into the nitty-gritties. So that is what today's video is about. Just pause, subscribe before you continue, because it's already going to be awesome. And don't forget to tell your friends, to tell their friends, to tell their friends to like, comment, and subscribe. So you're married. How long have you been married for?
I've been married for 9 years, and I have to count the months, because it's almost my 10th anniversary. So I've forgotten the month, but it's my 10th anniversary in Jan.
Heavyweight.
So it's like almost 10 years.
A heavyweight, eh?
Yeah.
So how did you guys define your responsibilities, your roles and responsibilities? Was it an easy thing? Did you ever feel like, how did you work around?
So for me, it didn't even come from a fun place. So I had literally had such a phobia against marriage. I was like terrified of it.
Okay.
And so my husband and I dated for 4 years. We met in church. We were both the same age. We were 20 years old at the time. And we met in church, so we dated for 4 years. And in the 4 years that we dated, I spent most of it just being terrified of getting married. And he made it very clear from the time that we started dating that he wanted us to get married. So that for me was never a question of are we going to get married or are we not going to get married. The time that I just spent for me in the dating phase was just asking myself, do I want to do this, and what does it mean for my life? And because I have dreams, I've got goals, I've got things that I want to achieve. So now if I'm gonna go into this marriage thing and become a wife, what does it mean for me? And that's why for me, the roles and responsibilities conversation had to happen while we were dating. Because I was not willing to go into a situation where I'm going to have to push my dreams aside so I can keep serving you. And for me, it was important that I get into a situation where we both understand, and I want you to understand it before we go into it, that we're going to be here to serve each other. There are days where I just won't be able to cook for you and you're going to have to figure it out for yourself. There are things, you know, for me, we're building a life together. That's what for me it was. That if your approach is the fact that you getting this wife and you are just coming to my head, I have a head. I don't need an extra one. Like, do you know what I'm saying? I'm not looking for a head.
Okay.
Yeah. Do you know what I'm saying?
I get what you're saying.
Do you get what I'm saying?
I get what you're saying. Yeah.
Do you know what I'm saying? In that sense that I just did not want to be in a situation where someone is going, finally I'm getting someone to lead. Like, no. I want a partnership, and I want us to understand that we've got this partnership, and this partnership needs to come in all levels. Sure. Because before I come into this marriage to be a wife, I am whole, I am complete. For sure. I've got dreams, I've got goals, and they are valid and they are important to me. And if we don't define this collaboration that we are going into, then my dreams are going to have to take a step back, but so will your dreams. And I'm not going to know how to support you, and you're not going to know how to support me, because we are busy fighting about laundry. I don't want to fight about
so
laundry.
when did you have I remember when I met you, you were talking about how you defined your roles and responsibilities. Was it in premarital counseling, or was it before?
So we started having the conversation before. And the conversation just sort of used to be, you know, when you're dating, it's all fun and you have like these conversations. Sometimes you have conversations about romance, and sometimes you have serious conversations. So it would be sometimes in those serious conversations. But I used premarital counseling to the maximum. Like literally, you should have paid those counselors. Because every topic that we discuss, so how premarital counseling worked, right, when we were Grace Bible Church. So that's when we got our premarital counseling. It was 4 months of premarital counseling, and every week there's a different.
Since 6 months.
That's a long time. I'm got married then. No, so we did 4 months of premarital counseling, and you know that you have like a topic that you do every week, and they'll tell you next week this is what we are discussing. So I used to just walk in there prepared, because I would ask myself, what do I want to get out of this? So on the topic of money, you know, I went there prepared, and I just thought, what sort of would I want for money in this marriage? I know that it might change over a few years, but just in the first year, in the first 2 years, what do I want? What outcome do I want to get out of this? So I used premarital counseling to the maximum, even as far as roles and responsibilities. So I made it very clear in that premarital counseling that I am not a maid. I am not a maid. We are either going to hire a maid, or we are both going to do the work.
And I think that's one of the things we need to understand, is that how I fully understand our moms and how they were raised. We don't overlook that. So I feel like it's okay. But in this world, in this generation, in this today, there are women who are going for their dreams. There are women who are living their purpose, and I don't think, and let me not even say dreams and goals, but sometimes purpose, because I do believe we are put on this earth to bring out what God has put within us. A ministry, it's obviously it's not necessarily pulpit, but it's what the impact that you are making to the world, and you are pouring out everything. So we have women who are like that these days, and I feel like sometimes this idea of roles and responsibilities of a woman must this and a woman must that can cripple, you know, a woman in terms of how does she find the balance between now tiwa milling pay make figure kai tiwa nginzi washing pela and all that stuff. And that's why I think it's important to have these conversations, because we might not be able to do that anymore. We might not be able to be the ones to stay at home, and there are people who love to stay at home, and that's okay. And that's okay. Listen, first ticket to being home, I believe some of us will take that at a heartbeat, and that is okay. We're not looking on anyone who does it, but we also can't overlook the fact that women who do go to work now also need to find that balance, because they're expected to work, then come home and cook, then come home and clean. Then if they have kids, or when they have kids eventually, especially if the basics weren't balanced with the two of them, how then adding a child, now it gets really bad. I feel like this conversation should be had from the get-go. You need to have it from the get-go, but you need to have it before you get married. Definitely. So stop spending time trying to impress that boy so he can marry you, because then you are setting him up and you are getting married for the wrong reasons.
You know, sometimes I find that, and I'm not saying that the men are not responsible, right? But sometimes I find that then with the ladies that, you know, he's gonna marry me, now he's proposed, and I don't want to say things that are gonna put him off. There's a very high price you're going to pay for that. No, I promise you.
I know, but that's what I'm saying. No,
you're going to pay a very high price for that.
You know, the problem is that, and I think this is one of the things that you're talking about the other time. And I also wanted to actually ask, how then do we draw the line? Because there are people who, even when they are dating, they want to show them that I can do this. I'm going to iron your clothes for you. You visit the guy at his home, you are ironing. You said someone was labeling food. Like would open this.
All I'm saying
is and label food.
All I'm saying is you reap what you sow.
But that's the thing.
That's the seed you're sowing. You better be able to keep up with that, because now you have set up an expectation to this guy that says, I am the woman who irons your clothes. I am the woman, and he likes that, and that is what he is getting married to. So you can't then want to turn around and fight him and say blah 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 blah, because when you have sold yourself in that, no, I promise you, that is your sales.
Your theme song was catered to you, Destiny's Child.
I will cater to you. That's what you sold. That's the impression that you sold to the guy. You said to the guy, I am ironing your clothes. I am what. That's what he bought. And I'm not saying, ladies, you are being bought, right? I hope you understand what I'm saying. I'm not saying, before people go.
Yeah, but I think the thing is that the conversation is meant to be sobering. It's not putting down any gender or race or whatever the case may be.
Yes.
But it's saying, open up and wake up, so that when you are in this thing that is so real, you're not fumbling over things that you could have avoided that you could prior.
Yes. So in the midst of feeding each other strawberries while they're dating and going on dates and holding hands and whatever other couple goals, bathings, young people do these days, you need to start thinking about the fact that marriage is not romance. You have to be able to separate the two. Romance is romance. Romance forms 5% of your marriage. There's the 95%. And 95% is the fact that you've got this partner and this is a life partner and you're doing life together. And in order for you to do life together, you have to set a constitution of how are we going to do life together.
I like that.
And that is not romance. It is the most unromantic conversation, right, you can have with your partner, but it is the most important conversation that you need to have with your partner, because when you don't set the precedent for this 95%, it becomes, the fight of it becomes 95%, and then you find that it affects the 5% romance. Romance is 5% of marriage. It's 5%, and it's a good 5%. But you have to put the effort in this 95%. You have to talk about that. You have to set this constitution. So I can't tell you what you can and cannot do. I can't set the rules that I'm using in my house to go and work in your house, right? South Africa is governed by certain laws, the USA is governed by certain laws, right? Like just, to put it in the simplest way. So you know what constitution is going to work for your household, what is going to work for your lifestyle, in a way that it does not suffocate your purpose. I know what would work for me. I may not have it fully figured out. So that's another thing, is that I may not have it fully figured out, and I still don't have it fully figured out. I know what I need to do now. I mean, I don't know where God is going to take me in the next couple, but I know what I need to do now. And I work on that, and I communicate that. Just for example, so I spent 10 years working, full-time before I, moved into full-time entrepreneurship. And in my 10 years of working, we had children in the midst of that. We got married, we had children. My husband also works, full-time, he's got a job in corporate. And in our 10 years of working, we had kids. And we started to divide these responsibilities of, you deal with the kids in the morning, you deal with the kids in the afternoon, right? So it would depend again on what job I'm working and what job is working. But I would then, most of the time, I would take the mornings, get the kids out,
the conversation was had.
The conversation was had, and things changed. So there was a conversation we had before the kids were born, and we were open to adjustment as well. Now the kids are born. We said this is what we're going to do. It's not working. So now we've got experience, so this is what needs to work.
So it's shared responsibility.
Shared responsibility.
I think for me, because one of the conversations we had is, we also had the same thing of relationship. And I think even while we're dating with Kevin and I told him, this is what I like to do. So these are my strengths, these are my weaknesses, and we kind of balanced it on that because I enjoy cooking personally.
Yes,
I
me too.
cooking.
Me too. I'm the chef of the house.
Also exactly, and it also helps that I get back home earlier from work than he does. Yes. So it's a no-brainer. I'm not going to fight that. I'll take that responsibility to make sure that there's food. And all the other stuff, and in some spaces where I feel like I can't do this, like I told him, I can definitely put clothes in the washing machine and I can take them out and hang them, but I will not iron them. Too. I really do not like ironing, and I'm not going to sell you dreams because I'm trying to be the woman you think that I need to be. Yes, I'm telling you who I am and what I like and what I don't like. So ironing I don't do. How do we fix that? Let's get an Aussie. Okay. Let's get Aussie who will come in, and then Aussie will do this, that. How often will Aussie come in? Yes. How this? So then now you start defining, okay, well now what do you do? Yes. And the crazy thing is that sometimes we like to do, base our expectations based on the gender roles that people, that society has set, that our culture and traditions have set. And I realize it doesn't work that way because typical example, my husband's not an outdoorsy person. He loathes the garden. So I don't mind. Like I don't mind getting my hands dirty. He does not. He'd honestly rather wash dishes and wipe the carpet.
So weird. My husband is exactly the same.
And he'd rather be indoors, and I'd rather be outdoors. So those are the things where we can't necessarily just come in, and say, because you're a woman, this is what you must do.
This is what you must
have those sobering conversations when you're dating, so that it can be established from the get-go.
From the get-go. And you brought in stereotypes.
Yeah.
Get the gender stereotypes out of the door. The fastest way to ruin your marriage is gender stereotypes. Yeah. I'm telling you.
I think also that, and it goes also along with expectations. Yes. Because how then do we manage certain expectations? Because there are men who, Mina, I thought that this is what you would do. Mina, I thought Uti.
But it's the stereotypes. So you have to talk about that. You have to bring that up before you get married. That is not the conversation you have when you've just moved in together. And now it's like hitting you in the face that, oh, I have to pick up the shoe from the door and the socks next to it and then this and then that. And he's sitting there going, where's my plate of food, baby? And now you must shop with the tray, right? You have to have that conversation, before. And even reversed, right? On the men's side, where she's got a thing, something's up with the car. And then now she's looking at you and you're thinking, I have no idea how to do that. And she's just like, what kind of man is that? Yeah. Or stuff happening with the garden, for example. Like, let's speak about a husband, with my husband who's not very gardening as well. Stuff is happening and you're just like looking at it and being like, Kevin, the grass, and Kevin is like,
I think growing up for me, I grew up in a house where everybody can do everything. So my mom was like, what are these? Like hands. It's like everybody has hands, right? Yes. So I don't care what they're attached to, what kind of body, whether a woman's body or man's body, but hands are hands. Yes. So everybody needs to do something. So my mom would be outside doing the garden. My dad would be outside doing the garden. The same dad will be washing dishes. The same dad will be cooking. Exactly. Because he's filling in a certain role and responsibility. Because what will happen, God forbid, something happens to your wife, and you as a man feel like, I don't didn't anything. Now you're sitting in filth because you're refusing to play your role or to take up the responsibility. Because that's what it is. Let's make it responsibility. Yes. Because sometimes we like to say, no, this one belongs to this one. No, if you see that the space is messy, whether you're a lady or you're a gentleman, clean up the space. And I feel like these things need to be had because you can't be fighting, like I said, crippling your marriage and having these obstacles in the way because you refuse to discuss first things first.
Yes, and this is for me where the nice part of it, right? Because sometimes it becomes a difficult conversation to have, right? Where you're just taking it from rules. So take it from, if you're thinking about the approach, right? So what is your approach to this thing? Take it from the lifestyle perspective, because that's a much nicer conversation to have. So you go, what lifestyle do we want to live? What is our dream of the lifestyle that we want to live? When you've got that down, and then you go, so now what do we need to do, both do, to make sure that we can, both be happy in this lifestyle that you want to live? And sometimes it's daunting to just get to someone and be like, let's talk roles and responsibilities. They can shut down on you, right? So maybe if you are dealing in a situation where roles and responsibilities is not a nice conversation, take it from the lifestyle approach. Because the reason why I remember you're doing all of this is because you're doing life together. So all of this is in support of your life and it's in support of your lifestyle. So then maybe take it from the lifestyle approach and say, what kind of lifestyle do we want to live? What kind of life do we want to have? What dreams do we have for our life? So now, how do we then both play our part in supporting this life?
Does this apply to someone who's already married? What if someone is watching this, they're already married? Because I believe that their wives will watch this and they're already married and they're like, yo, I'm in too deep.
I'm in too deep.
I wake up, I make the bed, I have to run the bathwater, I have to make lunch. When they come back, I have to clean, I have to do this. How do they create that conversation? How do they get out of that?
For me, I would say take it from that life approach. That's what I like, because I think that when you're already in too deep and there's already resistance to roles and responsibilities, start talking about this is the life we are living at the moment, and this is what is the vision for this life that we have. So maybe we haven't been able to define that properly, and that's why, somewhere where the conflict could be. So maybe let's go back to the drawing board and let's talk about the vision that we have, for our lives. Like, for example, me switching from working full-time to being an entrepreneur changed a lot of things in our household, right?
Sure.
But for us to be able to have that smooth change was that because we knew the vision. He knows the value of me living full-time employment to be an entrepreneur, because this is what's contributing to our vision. Do you know what I'm saying? So we have this vision. This is what vision that we have for our children. This is the lifestyle we want to live. I can do so much better being an entrepreneur, and I'm just a happier human being as well. I'm like not as grumpy as I used to be. And this is the vision for our lifestyle. The energy in our house is lighter, right? So this is the life that we want. Great. So now, how do we support then this vision? So now I'm at home more often, right? Because now, I'm flexible. Now mompreneur, I'm a lot more flexible. So I'm dealing more with the kids during the day, but in the afternoon, I do not want to see them. I am not interested. I am not a parent in the afternoon. So you come back and you parent, and things have had to change, in the past year. And we've both had to be flexible, to that. But it's with the understanding that we are supporting this vision.
Do you think that in dating, I actually wanted to ask you this as well, do you think that in dating we should be doing any kind of cleaning responsibilities, or
I would not, I did not do none of that in dating. I was just, no.
So your boyfriend,
in my opinion, just don't do that.
Don't do it.
No, don't do it. And unless he's doing it too. So if I find you cleaning, I might just grab a broom. I'm not gonna walk into your space when we are dating and start cleaning up your house. That's not going to happen.
Because expectations.
Because then I'm setting up expectations that I'm gonna come and clean up after you. Do you know what I'm saying? So, but if I come in and I find you doing stuff,
I can.
And again, it depends on how long we've been together. Honestly, it does. I'm not gonna do that. It's just no.
You're not gonna be out there picking up.
I'm not picking up brooms and that because now I think you have to be very careful about the expectations that you are setting. I think that even if you do find yourself in a situation where you're picking up the broom, do tell him. There's also just like a nice way of doing it. Be like, I'm sweeping for you. Just don't think that that's what I'm going to do for you all the time. And you might just laugh about it. But you know what? The message came across.
How do you advocate on inviting third parties in impossible situations, especially when you're married?
Yes.
And you can see Buti,
very much. I advocate on inviting
the parents, or no?
No,
not parents.
I would not advocate on because here's the thing is that parents come with good intentions, and even if your parents have emotional intelligence to be impartial, the person who is what's the word? So let's say you invite your parents. Even if your parents are impartial, Kevin will still feel like they're taking your side. Do you know what I'm saying? So I would not invite parents into this. I would invite someone who doesn't really have a side.
I guess.
Yeah, the counselor is a stranger. Yes, someone who doesn't have a side to take. In those kind of situations, and sometimes you might not have access. Again, it depends on the situation. So for me, I'm thinking in my case, if it had something to do with the fact that I need someone to call Tebo out. I would actually call his family. So I wouldn't call my family.
Yeah.
So I would call his family.
Because your family is going to protect you and say,
yes.
why am I going to do that?
And also just for him, I would say, it's your family, they're not going to take my side. So I'm going to bring your family to call you out. And I don't want you to walk out of there saying, I'm not going to take what they're saying because they are your family. Because they're my family. So if it's your family, you have no choice but to listen to them. So again, it depends, you know, on the situations. So if I feel like I've been wronged, I wouldn't call my family. If I don't have access to someone from outside, I would call one of his uncles or one of his aunts and bring them into the conversation, and he can trust the fact that they have his back. So whatever it is that they say, he can trust that because they have his back, right? Yeah.
Okay. So I guess we can wrap that up. Yes. Pretty much so. And that's one of the things that the conversations I wanted to have, to open up and say, how do we do this, you know? Yes. I love the fact that you established and that you reiterated the fact that I think people really take dating lightly. And I don't think people understand the importance of dating. It's a getting to know one another phase, but it doesn't stop at what's your favorite color.
Yes.
It goes deeper than that to try and understand backgrounds, because backgrounds shape people's perceptions of what they also think. Sometimes it might be unintentional, but because of their background, it has shaped them as to what they think that a wife should be doing.
Yes.
And those are the conversations that you need to have, the sobering conversations to say, no, not actually, because my background taught me that I can do anything and everything.
Yes.
If you want me to paint, yeah, I'll paint.
Yes.
Like I'm that person where I painted the place where we said, I painted, not the whole place, I got some else, but I'm like, I need to change this particular wall color.
Yes.
And I'm gonna do it myself. I don't need necessarily your hands, because my hands can do it.
Because my hands can do it.
These are the things that I like to do. These are the things that I don't like to do. And when I don't like to do, don't force them upon me. Let's find a way. I love what you said, lifestyle. We are creating this lifestyle. How do we balance, or how do we make it work? Our ideal lifestyle, how do we make it work? And I think that's very important.
You must remember that everything you're doing is supporting this lifestyle. So they're not roles for the sake of being roles. They're not responsibilities for the sake. I'm not making your life difficult, right? So how am I supporting this lifestyle? You supporting my career and my purpose. You need to see the value of what it's bringing to the lifestyle and this life that we have together. So everything is supporting this lifestyle and this life and this vision that we have, you know, together.
So that's basically it. Roles and responsibilities, defining roles and responsibilities, and like you said, talking about the lifestyle. So I thought you guys, I hope rather that you guys have learned a lot. I hope that it has sparked conversation. We won't be able to cover everything all the time, but it's a nice way to start conversation, to spark conversation. Let me know what you think in the comments down below. Engage. Maybe there are things that you agreed with, maybe things that you disagreed with. I like that because it's opening conversation. We are not saying this is it. Yes. We are creating a platform so that you can have really truthful, open honesty and transparency. Yes. So I hope that you've enjoyed that. Thank you so much for taking time out of your day to be with me and to feature as well on this video. Hope that you guys enjoyed this episode of Wife Talks. Till next time, bye.